So, all right. Well, let's get cruising and do a little vocabulary. So, who would uh, who would like to take the first one? Pronounce it and tell me what it means. Go ahead. What does it mean?
No, on the password.
Pronunciation. Okay. To eat. Okay, and it would be achal, achal, achal. Yep. What about the next one? Who would like to take the next one? You want to? Oh, you knew to eat, but you didn't know the other. All right. How about the next one? And this little guy at the top is an accent marker. It means that's where you put the emphasis.
Well, you would say it all lot.
I'd be ele,
Then
ele. And you might say, look at look at all ele people.
these.
These, that's correct. All right. What about the next one? Okay, Poppy, go ahead. It is if, and how do you pronounce it? What does this first letter sound make? It's a trick question. It's silent. And what does this vowel make sound make? I, no, I or E. And this is the final letter of what sound? Mem. So it'd be im or im. And you're correct. It means I. What about this guy right here?
Or
Bor. That's right. What does it mean? A pit. It can also mean a well, like a well is in the ground. What about this one right here? It does mean sun. Can you pronounce it?
Yeah.
It's Bane. Bane. Good job. And this one is a very big word. That's right. And how do you say it?
go down.
Gadol. Gadol. Yep. All right. This one, would somebody like to take a shot at pronouncing the one that's already done for us? Dom. That's right. Good job. Very good. And how about this little tricky one right here? We already know what it is. Who would like to take a shot at pronouncing it? Did you say yes, Poppy? Go ahead. Do you know it? Derek. That's right. That's right. With the accent there on the Dalit. Good job. Very nice.
I like your new lines.
You like my new lines?
Vectors now instead of drawing it.
It's yeah. Sometimes you learn as you go. So okay. So let's try the next set. All right. Does anybody remember the who and he phraseology I gave you guys to remember? Who is he and he is she? All right. Good job. Oops. I need to go all the way over to the screen. Who is he and he is she? That's a good way to remember these vowel sounds right here. Who and he. Who is he and he is she? What about this one here? Who knows the third one in the list? Haya.
They are not.
Haya or not haya. So what does it mean?
Be.
To be. Yep, it's the verb to be. That would essentially where we would put in is or uh, there are some there. The are that to be verb doesn't really exist in Hebrew. So when you see that there, it's that's your to be verb. So how about this one? Grace, you want to take this fourth one right here?
Yeah.
This oh, okay.
Um, be, uh, Hina,
Hine, good job. And what does it mean?
to behold.
Behold, correct. Correct. All right. Who would like to take the next one? There's two different forms of this word, but they mean the same thing. Who'd like to take this one? Poppy, go ahead. All right, so let's do it together. So here at the bottom we have an ah, we have a yet, in, ayin, and then over here it's just ain, ain. This is the more common of it is ain, and here's how do you remember what it means? Okay. It isn't. It's this one right here. There is not. And I'll give you a little mnemonic on this one. Ain, there ain't none there. There are not. There ain't none there. So it's a way to kind of remember ain. Its opposite opposing word is yesh. There is. And you can remember that one when we get to it is yesh. There is some. This one, there ain't none. Okay, so it's a way to sort of remember, for me at least. That may not help you, but that's how that possibly they are for partially in the south of Israel. All right, who would like to take this one here? The second to the last. Do you want to try it, Wayne? And then a ka, shalach. That's a closed, so that's a het. So shalach. Good job. You got the sounds correct there. What does it mean? To send. That's correct. To send. Shalach. And our last one down here, Poppy, do you think you know what this one means? Let's give it to Daisy. Daisy, what's this last one mean? To keep or to guard. And how do you pronounce it? Shah, correct. Shah, ma, what's this last letter? And it makes a sound. So Shah, Mar, Shamar. Good job. Excellent. Very good. Any questions about any of those words? None?
What that?
It's interesting that they value are like spelled the same because they are usually spelled the vowel.
So yes, in this case, what it tells us, sorry, Grace, I didn't start my video there. I can turn it on. What it tells us is that within the letter itself, there are some things going on in the root. So we have the aleph is part of the root. The noon is certainly part of the root. Those two are carrying through. And with this spelling, this older form of the spelling, it tells us that the yod is in the original root of the word. But somewhere along the line, when you start to change up the vowels, that yod may drop out and convert just to a vowel. And we'll see that as we go through, that the older spelling forms, the more, I would say the older spelling of the words will get preserved. Sometimes you'll see it pop out in certain word forms, but they're predictable. So, yeah. Yes, Poppy.
Um,
The first one right here. This one is who. Who. Except who in this case means he. So if I wanted to say, let's see, if we could, I want to send Uncle Jay to the temple. Okay, something like that. So I might say, it would be hu shalach echa. Actually, it'd be shalakti hu chehal. I sent him to the temple. I'm giving you an example.
Is that
All right. Let's take a look at our alphabet again and just do a quick little review here on some of these. Everybody loves the alphabet, don't they? Actually, let's try that little guy. I'm gonna try a new tool that came in. Let's see if that works. Vanishing pen. It does vanish. Very cool. All right. Love it when there's new features to play with. Okay. So Poppy, I want you to do the top line for me. Gimel. Okay. So let's say Robin, could you give me the next line?
I don't know why I can't do it without singing the whole song.
It-
Even though I know the lyrics.
It sucks. I still have to sing the song to remember the order of the alphabet. And this is the what form? Final form. Correct.
Even though I know.
I got you. No worries. Grace, how about you? The third line here, starting with this character.
Lamed, mem, final mem, noon, final noon, and summit.
Correct. Correct. Wayne, would you like to take this line?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know the alphabet. Only know the sound.
Oh, I'll go with the sounds then. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Finals.
Correct.
Z.
Okay.
Finals.
Okay. Good job. Very nice. All right. No, you already got to read the top line. Do I have a volunteer for the last line down here? Buddy? Anyone? Daisy, go ahead.
Okay.
Resh? Dots on the left. Sin, correct? Shin? Toph. Yep. Some people will say seen. That's okay. Seen, sin, either one works.
And there one that's more common.
It's just dialect. So, yep.
Why are there final whatever?
So when these letters appear, when you have a cough that appears at the end of a word, it will change its form so that in the ancient cultures, you knew that was the end of the word. And there are 5 letters that have a final form: the kaf, the mem, the nun, the pei, and the sade. So when you see that, you'll only see that version of the letter at the end of a word. It's the only time you'll see it. All right, we had some special characters, the Bagad Kafats. Who remembers the Bagad Kafats? Who could give me those? Do you know them, Poppy? You may go to the restroom. Who would like to tell me the Bagad Kafats?
The bet.
Bet,
Gimel.
the Gimel, the Dalet.
All.
Okay, correct. Oh, you're
They.
the Fae. That's right. Good job.
And then the top.
The Toph. Correct. Excellent. And what's the unique characteristic about the Bagad Kafats? What do we want to pay attention to in those?
Are those the ones that can have the
The dots. Yep.
apparently what the called?
Dagesh.
Oh yes.
Yep. Yep.
I could not remember dogs.
I'm with you. Can have a little dot in it. And for some of these characters, it'll change the pronunciation. So bet to a vet, or a exactly pay to a fay. Yes, exactly. A chaf to a hard K and the cough. Yes, exactly. And when it comes to figuring out syllables, we learned with the Dagesh, with the dot, that it's known as a doubling dot, right? When we find that dot in any character other than the Bagad Kafats, if we found a doubling dot, say in this tet right here, in a word, that would tell us that there's two tets in a row. It's their way of saving room, right? And so it's a doubled letter, but in the Bagad Kafat, you have to pay attention as to whether it's a doubled letter or not. And you determine that by does it have a vowel preceding it or not. It may just be there for pronunciation to help you get through the word. Good job. Excellent. How about the gutturals? Who would like to tell me about the gutturals? The ones that are in the back of the throat are silent.
Okay.
Hey is one, correct. Good job. An aleph. Gimel is not. Gimel's not. Aleph, hey. Let me get to a more permanent. The ayin is one. Hey is not. So the aleph, the hey. Somebody said ayin. There's two more. There's actually one more, but the second one that we include. Yes, Daisy, take one. I'm sorry? Vav? Nope. Not a Vav.
Was it pub?
Go ahead, Poppy. Resh is one of them. Correct. And we're short just one more. It's in the same family as the hey, the H sound. Ket, that's correct. Ket. Those are our gutturals. And we're going to see when we do a little bit of reading, they cause some things to happen, but in your dagesh, the dot, one of the key things about the gutturals to remember is they will not take a dot. They will reject and refuse to take a dot all the time. And that can create some problems in how you form some words. It'll make some things change. Most typically, it makes the vowels change in the word. So when you start dealing with these gutturals and these weak letters, then they can get a little moody within there. But again, they're all predictable. When you see them and you read, you can just predict, oh, I know what's going to happen here because you see it over and over. All right, very good. Excellent. Excellent. Let's take a look at our vowels because everybody should know their vowels. All right, let's start down here. Does anybody remember the name of this little stair step guy?
I know it's
Oh, you don't?
Yeah.
Robin said it, but go ahead.
the caboose.
Caboose. And how do you remember the caboose there, Grace?
You're walking down the stairs.
And they're walking down the stairs in your caboose. That's right. What about this one? Do you remember this one here?
Are you asking me?
Yep.
That's Shrek.
Shudrik. And what sounds do those two make? What vowel sounds do they make?
Ooh.
Ooh, that's correct. Very good. Good job. All right. Who would like to take this little set over here? Who would like to take this first one? Do you remember? No?
I remember the top one.
This one right here? Oh, the one up here. Okay. So we're looking at these right here. Who would like to take this one that looks like a hole on the piece of paper? Oh, did that cause you to remember something? What is it? It is a holum. It's a holum. It's like a little hole right here in the top corner. What about this one, Daisy? It's a really complicated term. So what is this at the top again? A holum. And what character is this? A vav. So guess what we call it? A holum vav. No, what's the vowel sound? Oh, that's right. Exactly. And we learned about this one. We said this one's a little bit tricky, that the kamats can also be an O vowel when it is in a closed, unaccented syllable. There's only about a dozen words that this appears in. And as we go through, I'll point them out to you. So you don't need to worry about the rule. I'll just point out the words and then you'll know. Okay. All right. Good deal. Poppy, did you know something or did you have another question? Okay. Well, we'll let you do that one when we get there. All right. Who would like to take our I class? Let's do this bottom row down here.
was like here or something.
Hirik, that's exactly right. And this is a Hirikiode. And we'll remember that whenever we have a consonant that does not have a vowel beneath it, it's a part of the vowel that precedes it. It's typically not part of the word, it's part of the vowel. So, and it makes what sound?
E.
E or E. Correct. Good job. Who would like to take the next line? You.
You just said
We'll let Robin do it. Sagol, correct, because it kind of looks like the end of a cigar that's lit. So Sagol. And what sound does it make? Eh, correct. And what about this one here? Sere. Sere. And what sound does it make?
Eh.
A. That's right. A sound or S sound. Either one will work. Perfect. All right, Poppy. If you're going to do these, you have to do this one too. It's a patak. Patak. What sound does it make?
Ah.
Ah, correct. And what's this one? It's a comets. That's right. What sound does it make? Ah. And what about this one? What do we call this one? I heard it over here, but I wanted to hear it from you. So which one is this one? The T? Comets. And what letter is this?
that vowel.
It's a hey. So it's a kamats hey. And it's all part of the same vowel. All right, good job. You guys thought you wouldn't be able to learn these things. All right, schwa. Daisy, tell me what happens with a schwa. Why is it there? No, that was a trick question. The schwa tells us that there is no vowel on the letter. That's why it's there. Anytime you see a schwa, it's telling you there's no vowel on this consonant. But sometimes you need a little help to get from consonant sound to consonant sound, right? So that schwa can take on a couple of different forms. One is silent, one is vocal. And you'll see on the gutturals, the ones that we just went through, the aleph, the hey, the chet, and the ayin will only take these compound ones. Now these are schwas. It means there's still no vowel on the word or on that letter, but they're telling you here's the sound to help you get to the next consonant that they want you to take. Okay. So we had some rules, I believe, on when that would happen. And that would be, if I can get control back. We'll cover those when we get to our reading. All righty. Who wants to describe what's going on this particular slide to me? We talked about this, I think, last week, syllables, how to break them up and pronounce them. Go ahead, Poppy. Do you know? You can clap them out. That is certainly one way to do it, but it's go ahead. And a head nod, that's where you put the accent on something. Yep. But in this case, Hebrew, very much like English. I'm sorry. I am struggling with the mouse today. Hebrew, very much like English, likes to do a consonant or a vowel or consonant, vowel, consonant. So you either have an open syllable or a closed syllable, just like English. So it's very similar to our language. It's just that we've been dealing with it for a long time. So for us, we can kind of clap through and figure it out. Hebrew is a little bit of the same way. It prefers to have to work the same way. You'll never have two consonants in a row. You'll never have two vowels in a row either. It just won't. Well, I say that there's one exception that we may see tonight, but again, don't worry about the exceptions. Just kind of concentrate on the regular stuff. So in this case, the pronunciation of this, because the division is, I see what happened. I'm not drawing. The division here would be the mem and the sagol. So meh, and then these would be pronounced together, lek. Meh, lek. Meh, lek. Does anybody remember what a melek is? It's a king. That's correct. Good job. Okay. So just a reminder, that's where our syllables break as we're reading. All right. Any questions before we get cruising into learning a few things tonight?
I think I've already asked this twice, but I like part with 2 dots.
So the 2 dots in the yes. Yes, you may. So here you've got the shawa here to close out the end of the word to tell us there is no vowel on this letter. The reason
Maybe in there.
we'll see.
Oh, okay. You might tell me this. Fine.
That's okay. I think we're covering gender tonight, and you'll see why it's important for us to know there's no vowel on this character. And the Masoretes just wanted to make sure we understood this is a final cough and there's nothing attached to it. One of the reasons why is when you have that they would use like a final cough, as it's a way of indicating in Hebrew possession or person number or gender attached to a word. And so the cough is used a lot for that. The shawa tells us we're done, because in the old script without vowels, you may have a hey starting the next word, and you could easily read that now as a feminine or her king or something like that. So the Masoretes came in to make sure we understood exactly this is the end. It's closed right here.
So it's final, like it's going below the line, and just to make sure you really
Right. And you will not see that on every you won't see that on every word, but on words that end in cough, you'll see it often, almost exclusively, simply because it's such a common ending for possession. Yep. Good question though. Keep asking it, because you probably aren't the only one that has that question. So we've talked about this a little bit in the past, and that is that Hebrew is made up of essentially in most cases of a 3-consonant root word. They're called shorish. That's the term that they're referred to, and the word shorish just simply means root. It's the root of the word. We don't necessarily have something like this in English that you can reference this. There's a few words that may take a root of sorts. If you go back to some of the older English, where thy, thine, those kind of words, there would be sort of a similar root to that word, and you just change the ending of it to modify the meaning slightly. That's about as close as you could get in a comparison to English. So this is really native to ancient Near Eastern languages that came out of Semitic languages. They're built on what are called roots. Okay. So a root in this case, this is a word that you've had in your vocabulary. Does anybody want to take a shot at saying it? You've got it. Go ahead and just say it out loud. You're saying it.
Shaw. No.
Shema. Shema. That's exactly right. Has anyone ever heard of the word Shema? Yeah, well, I got a few hands going up here. It's an Israel prayer out of Deuteronomy 6, right? Shema. Hear, O Israel. Shema. And that's exactly what this particular word means, is Shema. He heard. It's a past tense form of a verb, and we know that because of these vowel patterns right here, which you haven't learned yet. But that tells me this is a third person masculine singular form of the verb he heard. Okay? That's that. But the root, the main characters in this word are a sheen, a mem, and an ayin. And so what Hebrew can do, and what it really all Semitic languages do, including Arabic, any of them, is they begin to build on these roots. So you can notice here we have the sheen, the mem, and the ayin, but we've got a prefix attached to the front of it now. And what else is different on these three? The vowels. That's right, they've changed. And by simply changing the prefix or even a suffix, which we'll see down here, it will change the meaning of the word, which in this case is, it turns into a noun. It's something heard. Something heard. It could be a sound, right? A sound. And you can again come down here and you see that we have the same root letters. Anybody want to tell me the root letters again? Go ahead.
Sheen,
Sheen?
Daniel,
Nope, it's a mem. What's the last one? Ayin, that's right. But what's different in this one? And Wayne, you picked it up last time. What's different here on this one? The vowels have changed again. And this actually is another type of noun, which would mean a report. I'm bringing news, a report. Again, a report is something that you would hear in this day. It's not something written, but in this case, something heard. And then we get down to this word right here. What do you think our root is on this particular word? Anybody want to take a guess? In the middle, starting where, Robin? With the sheen, and I would end where? With the ein. That's correct. And so as it turns out, in this word, the rabbi Hebrew teacher that I had taught me to think of words in Hebrew like Christmas presents that need unwrapped. And you're going to start unwrapping until you get down to the core of the present. In this case, the core of this present is, again, Shema. It's Shema. Now, have you noticed something similar? Hearing something that you hear, you've heard a report, you're causing someone to hear. That's what moms do. Sit down, shut up, and listen to me. I'm going to cause you to hear. Okay? They all seem to have something to do with hearing. And with Shema, and to some degree, obeying. Hear and do it. Okay? So the root of this word, we don't study roots in Hebrew. There isn't, in fact, I have my hands on one database of just roots, and that's it. And the roots alone aren't really a word, because to say sheen, mem, ayin, if you wanted to pronounce it, go ahead and try it. You can try it out loud or to yourself. Pronounce it without any vowels. Shmur. Shmur. Do you notice you can't say it without putting a vowel somewhere? You can't. And the moment you put a vowel somewhere, it takes on a meaning. So we don't study the roots. What we learn is, oftentimes we'll learn this form or this form of a noun or a verb in our vocabulary to give us an idea of the concept of what this root's going to do. The good news about this is, once you have an idea of what the root means, then when you experience it in another word like mishma, you'll look at that and think, well, I wonder what that thing means. Maybe it is I'm hearing something. I know it has to do with hearing. Not a sound, but hearing. I know it has something to do with that. And it helps you decode a little bit what's going on within the text as you come along. So once you learn the form, this is why learning the roots themselves, what are the roots of the words in your vocabulary, is important, because there's a Shema with a hey. There's a Shema with a yod. And if you get confused, you need to know the differences in your roots, because just like in English, spelling matters. So this one right down here is a verb we'll learn quite a bit later. Hashmaut or hashmaut. Here, it's a tough one to pronounce. This is a participle he feel form, and it could also be understood as ones who hear, the ones who are listening. Okay, could take that meaning as well. So 3 consonant roots, something that is not unique to Hebrew. It is a component of every Semitic, ancient Near Eastern, or even modern Near Eastern language, even Arabic, modern day Arabic, built on 3 consonant roots.
Is there any pattern to to Oz? It's like he and whatever that root is. Is there a pattern?
There's absolutely a pattern.
That's true.
That's
Like-
yes.
Is first one come on.
Shema.
Some vowels are on.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have a root that has the whenever on part of the word. It's something.
So you can, you could do, let's play for just a second, because this is a great opportunity
You
to
could do a different root.
do this.
With different.
So we could do something like this. And that's not very big. How on earth? Hey, Grace, how do I make Zoom bigger text?
Probably drawing.
I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
Got one of those quarter circle thing. Drag it, I think.
That'll make my text box larger, but I don't know if it'll make my font bigger. Well, we'll try it. We'll give it a shot. Nope. All right. Well, can you read it? That's a mem with a comma. It's a lamed with a patak, and a final cough with a. So we learned back over. I'll leave this stuff up. We saw on this slide that this word means what? King. So if I know, as Brent is saying, if I know that Shama means he heard, and I change this to a mem, lamed, kaf, but I leave these vowels, he ruled.
I love it.
That's exactly what it means.
It's not like English where it's all over the place.
No.
I meant to.
So these are visual pictorial concepts. It's a visual picture language. So when I have melek is a ruling word. So in a noun form, who rules? Well, if it's masculine, it's a king. If it's feminine, it's a queen. If it's masculine plural, it's kings or queens. If I put it into a verb form, then now my vowels and my vowels and things that I add to the end, or things, prefixes, suffixes, will tell me, has it already happened? Is it perfect? He ruled, she ruled, you ruled, y'all rule, I ruled, whatever it may be. Those are all determined by suffixes. And then there's a prefix form that's he will rule, she will rule, you will rule. And so it's the imperfect form of it.
Now it makes sense why I had modern novel.
They don't need vowels, because you can tell from the prefixes, suffixes, and the arrangement within it. And then you'll know in a sentence, I need a verb, a subject, an object, and so I'm going to go looking for those things there. So they're all built on just this 3-root letter, and then you change what is around it. And it takes a little time to learn how to unwrap the present so that you know what's there. But that's how we decode and determine what the words are. But the key is, very important key. This is why learn your vocabulary, learn the spelling of your vocabulary, so you know the roots. And as soon as you're reading along in Hebrew, you'll think, wait, I know that root. You may not know the form of the word. Is this a noun? Is this an adjective? Is this a verb? But at least you know the root. And you're in the neighborhood now of, okay, so something heard. Okay, what's the something in here? So you're on your way to understanding what was being.
Trouble. Well, I don't know how to pronounce half the stuff. So you say learn and then know. I need to know how to say it.
We can, as Wayne and Carol said, we'll go through the pronunciation tonight, and then I'll do another series of videos where I can just do the pronunciation of the vocabulary so you can hear it.
Because it doesn't help me just to learn them.
Yeah.
Go.
Yep, no problem.
There's an pronunciation or something.
Yes. Yeah, I think there's, Grace, do you have the spreadsheet of all the vocab words handy?
Maybe not handy, but
If you, while you're waiting, if you could look that up and see if there's a phonetic, if I gave you the phonetic spelling in that spreadsheet, and if it's there, then it'll be up on Canvas.
I have a bunch of vocabulary that are printed off.
Yeah, actually, let me see those. They may have. No, they don't. They don't have the phonetic in there. I can, what I can do is give the phonetic for the first set, maybe like the first 6 or 7 lessons. Once you're through that, you should be able to pronounce the words. You should be able to read it and pronounce it. So,
They do not have the phonetic spelling.
yep. Okay. Thank you, Grace. All right. Any other questions on the root? Brant is super excited about this concept.
Much no. Sign it up.
All right. So that'll be important and we'll work on that as we go through some of these things. So let's learn some new information here. And that is just to make it extra exciting and because Wayne loves a little more complication in his life. He did. Carol called me and said, you like it. Okay. Hebrew is a gendered language. Some of you have experience with other gendered languages. I think Spanish is a gendered language. Is that right? All those kind of things. Yep. And the gendered languages aren't always there to tell you what the gender of the item is, right? They're not. Sometimes they are the gender of the item, but sometimes they're not. And some languages have a neuter form. Hebrew does not. Hebrew just has masculine and feminine. And much like other languages, it's there and in place to help you know what words go with what words. Okay. So that's really its only purpose for being there. Now, sometimes it does refer to the gender, the biological gender, but for the most part, it doesn't. It's just telling you, giving you an idea of what words go with what words. And so it's very similar to other languages in that form. And so an easy way to look at this, there's only 4 forms for gender in Hebrew. And the first one here is just the plain old masculine singular form of the word. Does anybody want to take a guess on what the root of the word horse is? It's a samic. And this is a shurik, so it'd be an oo. So samic, oo, and then another samic. So the root of this word is actually a samic, vav, samic. That's the Hebrew root of the word. You won't see this in any other form other than referring to a horse. Unfortunately, it's just a horse. So it's most straightforward word in Hebrew.
Kind of looks like the male.
A little bit. Yeah, you could think of that. Sure. I appreciate Grace, for you who didn't catch that. Becky like to say that it looks a little bit like the male horse right there. So I'll just let that image stay with you, Grace, since you're in college. So it is the Hebrew word for horse. And in this case, it's a masculine horse. It's just a horse. Seuss. You can go ahead and say it. Seuss.
Yes.
Seuss. As in Dr. Seuss. Exactly. Dr. Seuss.
Saying Zeus. God.
So if we wanted to describe a female horse, we would add a suffix to it, and it's the kamatz hey vowel, and it would be pronounced. Does anybody want to take a shot at this? How you'd pronounce it?
John Fox.
Susa. Susa. And Susa is a female horse. We would call a female horse what? Go ahead. A mare. A mare. That's right. Or a female horse. Yes. Sometimes, well, one of the troubles in teaching gender by using a horse is that you can sometimes forget it's not always about gender. It's not always about biology. So mare works because that's what it'll always mean in the Hebrew script. Now, if I wanted to say horses, plural, then I would add this suffix right here. Who would like to take a shot at pronouncing this one? Do you raise your hand? Okay, go ahead.
You see him?
Susim. Susim. So when we see this im ending, we know that it's masculine, plural, horses. And we do the same thing, right? We have horse, and then we add a little s on the end of ours to tell us horses. So Hebrew's just doing the same thing, except this is masculine, susim. But what if,
Spell it.
what's that?
How do you spell it to pronounce it?
Samic, shurik, samic, This would be a Hirik Yod final mem. Susim.
Spelled
Susim. It's spelled right there. Susim. There is no English Susim. It's Susim, but I know what you're asking. I'll give some aids along the way, but eventually you'll get to the point where you can pronounce it. You won't need the aids. And if I had a group of female horses, right here, we have a different ending that goes on that. Who would like to pronounce that one? Susot. Susot. This gives you a 4 easy words to remember, to memorize feminine singular, masculine plural, feminine plural, noun endings.
Those suffixes going to be fairly straightforward and common in different objects. So you'll find that those are
The only time they will change is when the purpose of the word is changing. So, Sus, if you want to talk about a male horse, it will always be Sus. You want to talk a mare, it will always be Susa. You want to talk about horses, it'll be Susim. Female horses, Susot. That will never change. And that's good for any vowel, any noun. And this is important. These are nouns, right? These are all noun forms of this word. So when you see an most of the time, an im or an ot, you know you're dealing with a noun or an adjective. You're not dealing with a verb. Verbs take entirely different forms on them. So you're dealing with an object, indirect object. An object is, something along that line when you see these extensions. So sus, susa, susim, susot. If you can kind of just remember that pattern in there, then you'll know when you see anything that's an ot, you'll have a sense of going, this is something that's feminine and plural that I'm looking at. So it could just be describing something plural, for the noun. It could also be telling you, look for an adjective somewhere that will have the same ending on it, but we'll talk about that next week. Go ahead.
so sus, male singular.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then is it like Spanish where if it's like a multiplicity of male and female horses, one big group? It's
Correct. It would be masculine. Oh, did you? Yes, it would be. So the default is if you have a mixed group, it will be the masculine will be the default.
kind of like you guys.
Correct.
And then my last question is about Ish is man and then Isha is woman. And so,
Yes. So if you know your vocabulary of Ish is man and Isha is woman, or woman, wife, whatever, then you already pick up that Isha, that ending, is the only difference between the two.
spelled with the
Correct. Correct.
How do you say the last?
So Susim, Su-sim. Our break would be right here. So that would be male horses, plural, Su-sim.
Okay.
And our syllable break on this one would be right here, Su-sot, which are a group of female horses. More than one female horse. Susa, susim, susot. Now, I think you asked about the endings. Are they stable?
Right.
Okay. So if you've learned anything about Hebrew so far, there's one rule that never changes, and that is that every rule will get broken. But by the time you're reading along the way, you'll see a broken rule and go, okay, I get it. Mainly because there are irregular nouns in Hebrew. There are nouns that, like eretz for earth, is actually a feminine noun. So you will see feminine endings coming onto nouns that you wouldn't expect. So it's just kind of the nature of it. Here's one for you. Isha, the plural of that is nashim. So the plural of an Isha, female, takes an im, masculine ending. So there are irregulars in there. But again, by the time you're coming across those words, you'll already know. You'll know, okay, there's just a handful of irregulars out there. Most body parts are feminine. Ein for eye, ozen for ear. Most of them will be a feminine root form. They won't come with the automatically. But when they go to plural, they'll just default into that as you come across them. Land words, eretz, adama, where the Adam came from, adama, that's a feminine noun. And we do the same thing. America, she's a wonderful land. We get words for cities, an ir, or a ship, the onia. That's the Hebrew word for ship is onia. She's a good ship to sail in. So we tend to do this. She's a fine city to be in. Ir. It's just kind of that's followed along the way. Exactly. So, but for the most part, I will say 98% of the time, these are stable. They're stable. Yep. That's a great question. Any other questions on that one before we move forward? All right. So let's try this really quick. Melech, Hebrew word for king. By default, it's masculine. So queen would be what? I've got you and I've got you. Who's going to go? Let's give it to the pink one in the back. How would you say queen in Hebrew? Oh, you're going to let Robin go first on this one? Okay. Do you? Malka. There you go. Malka is a queen. Good job. Very nice. So if I wanted to say kings, what would I say? So remember, we have sus, susa, susim, suso. And the im is plural masculine. So how do we say it? Malkim, or in this case, malchim. That would be kings. So queens would be? Go ahead. So sus, susas, susim, susot. Malchot, malchot. Notice how in this, our root has stayed the same, right? Melech, melech, melech. Our root is identical in here. We're just adding something on the end to change whether it's masculine or feminine, singular or plural.
Well, in this case,
It stays stable.
in the plural for king would be acts differently than in Melech.
Correct. It'll be machim. It'll shift to the end of the
It's
word.
singular.
Right.
And that one's unique king where it has the acronym.
No, if you see two segols together here, it's called a segolet. The accent will almost always be on the first letter, but in all other cases, assume the accent is on the last syllable of every word. Just assume it's there.
And there are two vowels that are the same together, then it's
If they're segols.
only for single.
Now, when you have the same vowels that are together on words, they're still called segolets because they can take on different meanings. But if they're segols, it will always be on the first.
Single being the vowel of the three.
Correct. Yep. All right. Good job. See, it's a piece of cake. Wayne, you are all worried. All right. You want to learn another new thing? You ready? One more new thing. And then I was wanting to get to reading tonight. Okay. So how would we in Hebrew differentiate between a horse and the horse or that horse? Because sometimes you want to do that, right? You can have a daughter. I have 3 of them. But if I want to talk about the daughter, how would I say that? Okay. How would I do that? Well, in Hebrew, we have another predictable pattern. We've seen something added to the end on the suffix that'll change gender. We're going to look at something that's added as a prefix to a word that will change whether it's a definite word or an indefinite. It's just any old horse or it's the horse in this case. And the way we would determine that in Hebrew, you can see right here is the addition of, again, a fairly stable addition of a hey, a patach, and a dagesh in the first root letter. Does anyone remember this word that we have used here today? Go ahead.
Partial.
It's hashalom. And what is the root of this particular word? What do you think it is? It's only 3 letters.
Oh,
So our sheen, correct, is one. And what's our next one? Lamed is our next root letter. And what's our last root letter? The mem. And shalom means what?
amazing.
Peace. Peace. Okay. And yes, it is the greeting word, shalom, peace. And it's the exit word, shalom, peace. But when we put a ha, patach, and a dagesh in front of it, so now it becomes just as you said, ha shalom, then we would say the peace. You might say ha shalom Adonai, the peace of God. Although that would take a slightly different verb form, but don't worry about that right now. Ha shalom Adonai, the peace of the Lord. Whereas shalom Adonai, peace of the Lord. In this case, it would be the peace, something specific. Okay. So we do that by adding a hey, a patach, and a dagesh. And again, it is reasonably stable, but not always. So let's use our Seuss again here and see how this goes. So if we wanted to say, actually, we'll just do this. So Jay, I'm going to pick on you over here and go ahead and pronounce this one for us. The second one, the hasus, and tell us what you think it means. As the
That would
hay,
be
the horse. That's exactly right. The horse. Perfect. And would that be masculine or feminine?
it would be meant
It's masculine.
as a
And
singular noun.
exactly, masculine, singular on that. Perfect. All right.
Slightly different.
Excellent. All right. Who let's do this. Poppy, you can take this one. So I want you to pronounce it and tell me what it means. You had your hand up. So I think you did. Oh, you were connecting with. All right. So Daisy, let's give this one to you. So pronounce it. So let's go to just the root. How do you pronounce just the root? It's a horse. Seuss. Okay. So we put something in front of it, aha, and we put something behind it, an ah. So let's put it together. Hasusa. 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 The accent's going to be back here. And what would that mean?
Yeah.
The horse. And is this a feminine horse or a male horse? Feminine horse. And is there one horse or more than one horse? Just one. Good job. All right. Carol, would you like to take this one? You've been filming, so this is a bit of a challenge for you. You're right there. You were Hasusim. Hasusim. So close. Good job. Very good. Hasusim. So what is a Hasusim? So we know we've got this article in the front, right? The definite article that tells us it's male horses, but is it any male horse or is it the horses, masculine, plural? Exactly. Good job. All right. Wayne, do you want to take the last one? Go ahead and say it. And we can break it up right here. So go ahead. Hasus. That's an O vowel.
Oh,
Hasus. Oat. Oat. Hasusot. Hasusot. The accent will be back here. Hasusot. And what would a hasusot be? It is female. How many? One or more than one? More than one, plural. So this would be the horses, but it's feminine, more than one, plural. So you've learned tonight prefixes, suffixes, and how on a root, you just build around it. And as the rabbi in course C taught me, you just unwrap it like a present. You get this word that's a present. You just have to start to take it apart to figure out what's going on with it. Because around the root of the word, there may be other words around it. Just like adding a hey is adding the word the to tell us this is a particular specific horse in this case. All right. So there are exceptions to the rule. Because remember this group of gutturals I've been having you pay attention to, and strange and weird characters, especially ones that don't take a dagesh, you could see where there would be a problem if the form of my definite article is a hey, a patak, and a dagesh. Then what happens if my word, say aretz or the earth, rejects a dagesh? Can't put it there. So what happens in Hebrew is it does something that we'll see a lot of. This is the rule. This used to be a patak, and now it's lengthened to a kamatz. And the way I like to think of it is the dot that used to be here, he just kind of flew down and attached himself to the patak. But in essence, what happens is the vowel lengthens to compensate for the missing dagesh. I think there's an easier rule. Anytime you see a hey at the beginning of a word, and because you're going to study and learn your vocabulary so well, you know it's not part of the root. You know it's a prefix. Stop and ask yourself, wait, do I have a guttural? Do I have something that would change this up? Do I have a form that might make this a verb? So anytime you see something that starts with a hey, it's like a pause. Something's up with this. So the haaretz is the earth, but it can't take the dagesh, so it lengthens the vowel. And we know that the resh is in that same guttural weird character family. It's going to reject the dot, which lengthens again our vowel, harosh. Does anybody remember? Who would like to tell me what a rosh is? What's a rosh? I'll give you a hint. Beroshit. The first word of scripture. What's a rosh? That's a beginning. And where does your body begin? Your head. A rosh is a head. It's the top. So this would be the head. The head. That's all. Just the head or the top of a mountain could be that as well. For rosh. If we have an ayin, it rejects the dagesh as well because it's in that same group, and you just see it lengthens again to a kametz. That's all. Ha'esev. Ha'esev. So this case, I'll just give it to you. This is the grass. The grass. Now the dagesh isn't going to be there because it rejects it. Same down here for the chet because it's a guttural. It just rejects it. And you'll notice that in our two classes, our H class consonants, the chet and the hey, the patak doesn't change. They just reject the dagesh, but the patak remains. Okay. So ha hoshek. Does anyone remember what a hoshek is? Oh, it sounds so familiar, doesn't it? Isn't that the frustrating part of the language? A hoshek. Do you remember a hoshek? It isn't. A har is a mountain. A hoshek is darkness. So the darkness. Yep. The darkness. And I don't think you've learned this one yet. This is a hekal, which is a temple. So this would be the temple. So when your first letter will reject, if it will reject the dot, it oftentimes will change the vowel preceding. But I prefer a simpler rule. When you have a hey that starts a word, stop and say, hey, what are you doing there? Okay, I know it sounds crazy, sounds foolish, but you have a hey that starts a word. Hey, what are you doing there? Because it could indicate a vowel or a verb, and it could indicate a definite article. Okay.
Are there any roots that start with it?
Many. Herev, sword, starts with the hay. So the sword would be ha herev, just like you would have right here, a ha herev. So when you get two hays together like this, you almost immediately know you're dealing with a noun. Almost instantly, you know that. In that. All right. Any questions on that? Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
quickly. Darkness is awesome. All right, let's see. I feel like I'm
Then
okay. We can, if you guys are okay, we can go just a few more minutes and do a little bit of reading. I'd like to get a little. Are you guys okay with that? The word after darkness is hekal, and it means temple. Temple. The yod would be a part of the vowel.
Oh,
So this is a seriod vowel.
What?
All right. So any word I haven't put in brackets has been a vocabulary word for you. All right. So you should know it. But I'm not guessing. I mean, you're still learning, so it's okay. So who do I have a volunteer that would like to read this verse, this opening verse? Otherwise I'll have to pick a victim. Do you want to try it? Or I tell you what, looks like we got a volunteer in Brent. This is from Genesis chapter 37. It's a story about Jacob and Joseph and Rachel. So go ahead if you'd like to go ahead and read this, Brent.
Yasha.
Yasha. Perfect. Perfect. Very good.
B.
B. Perfect. Perfect. Yashav Yaakov Bichnaan. All right. Perfect. Very good. Very nice. So do you remember? Does anyone remember what Yashav is? You figured out that there's a verb form here or a form of the vowels that means it's a verb. And in this case, a masculine singular. But Yashav means
Was that some?
to settle or to dwell, to live in, settle down. So we would read this. So he settled or he lived in, he resided, dwelled. This is where he was. And who? Well, Yaakov, Jacob. Settled. We learned this preposition, the b preposition. Go ahead. It's on the tip of your tongue. Just say it. Don't be shy.
you?
Nope, that's la. Do you remember b?
What?
No. What does it mean? What's the word b mean? Conjunction is b. Vav. You're close though. Means in, among. So Yashav Yaakov, Jacob settled in Canaan, Canaan. So I've given you the help here because you haven't learned those yet. Yashav Yaakov ba Canaan. Yaakov settled in Canaan or Canaan. You've just read your first full-on Hebrew set. Good times. All right. Some of them will get to be tongue toasters. Just try Nebuchadnezzar one of these days. Go look it up. It's a good one. Nothing like being in the middle of class in front of, I can't actually say it together. I have to pronounce it syllable by syllable because I can't string it together. My Hebrew teachers can. Well, if they're from Israel, they can. If they're not, they also have to kind of string it together. Or go try Xerxes in Daniel. That's the longest word in Hebrew is his name. I don't even try it. It's just Xerxes. Yes, sweetie. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to break this up. So Grace, are you there?
I am.
All righty. So I'm going to give you this line, and I'm going to be nice to Wayne. I'm going to give him the last line down here, and you have time to work on that one. Okay. And I'm going to be mean to Robin, and I'm going to give her the big long middle line right here. And Jay, do you feel up to working it out? It's okay to say no.
Yeah. Sure. So this
Okay, that's fine. Daisy, Carol,
Oh,
you want to give it a shot? Okay, we'll give this one to Carol. Perfect. I think I did the C. Yeah, I did. All right. So Grace, you feel like just go ahead and give it a shot. This first line up here, and don't feel bad. It's your first time reading in public. Don't forget to go off mute.
okay. So Vayoshek,
Vayosef,
Vayos. What was that again?
Vayosef. It's a samak. Sef.
That.
Mhm.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Okay.
Vayosef.
Vayosek. Um. Okay. Hold on. I have to look. Uh, Vah.
You're there. Keep going. Good job.
Vahahim.
Perfect. Good job. Ignore this little guy right here. I'll tell you why he's
Okay.
there. This is your syllable break is right here.
Shamar.
Shamru.
Shamru.
All right. So I'll read it and then you can read it after.
Okay.
Vayosef.
Vayosef.
Vaha'achim.
Vaha'achim.
Shamru.
Shamru.
Perfect. All right. So this one, I've given you a hint on this. We're going to break this word down right here. What do you think the root, just if you were guessing, what would you think the root of this word would be based on what we've learned just tonight? So unwrap it from the front and the back. Unwrap it.
The He Aleph Het.
Okay. So the hey, you're thinking maybe, did we
wait.
learn something about a hey
No.
tonight?
No, because that's Vav, that's the and, right?
And this is
And that.
and
And
the,
So then Aleph Het Mem.
but we also learned about a suffix tonight called im.
So it's just two? You tricked me.
I did. And what is the vocabulary word ach? You don't have any of them.
Uh,
You have no achs. You have a bunch of bots, or I should say achots.
Yep.
An ach is brother.
Brother.
So, and Joseph and the brothers.
Mm.
And this vocabulary word, shin mem resh, means guard. They were guarding something, but we haven't gotten there yet. So, and Joseph and the brothers, or it reads his brothers, but we've changed it up a little bit to make it easy. Were guarding. Well, what were they guarding? In your vocabulary, you have this one, an et. Robin, what does an et tell us is follow? It's the direct object. So Joseph and his brothers are guarding something, and the direct object of the sentence is what they're guarding. Okay. And in this case, they're guarding something that starts with a hey. So they're guarding what's a son? A flock. They're guarding the flock. And whose flock is it? The flock of Yaakov. Go ahead and I'll let you pronounce it there. So you can do it word by word. It's actually here's a syllable, here's a syllable, this is a syllable, and there's the last syllable. So you can do it each one independently if you'd like. It'd be le. Just an in this case. Ko, exactly. Yaakov is the name for Yaakov. Well, in this case, I'm just pronouncing his name, Jacob. Yaakov is Jacob. The lamed is a word that's prefixed to it, which in this case, we're going to just translate as of, because it's very flexible. You see the lameds and the bets and those, and they become pretty flexible words. Go ahead and let's do the next one. Nope, I'm just giving you an idea of where the syllable breaks are. Vayavo. So let's say it together, vayavo. Vayavo. And we saw this word already. So it's the O sound. Yosef. Yosef or Joseph. Yep. All right. Good job. So let's I'll say it. You can repeat. Et Hatson la Yaakov Vayavo Yosef. So Joseph and the brothers were guarding the flocks of Jacob. This is a vocabulary word we had right here. Bo means to
How do you say it?
bow.
Bo?
That's how you learned it in that form. Bow. To come or to enter. So Joseph came. All right, Carol, let's try the pronunciation on this one.
Oh.
L.
No. I
Yaakov. Good job.
bed
Be, you got it.
down.
So be davar. Be davar. And what's the last one here? Perfect. Good job. All right. So we'll say it together. El Yaakov Bedavar Ra. And I like to put that Ra. That's that iron sound even down there. Because that's evil.
God.
There is a god Ra in Egypt, but in this case, this is just the word Ra, which means evil or bad. Ra. All right. So Joseph and the brothers were guarding the flocks of Jacob, and Joseph came. You remember this word in your vocabulary? El.
Hell.
To. Perfect. And so they came to who? Who did they come to? Yaakov, Jacob. This bet preposition in this case is going to take on the meaning with. Okay, usually you learned it as in, among, with. They came with something. And what did they come with? They came with a davar. A davar. A word, but what kind of word? A bad word. They came with a bad word. Wayne, here we go. There you go. Hoping class is going to end, weren't you?
What's the thing?
Could be a word, a matter, or a thing. Yep.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay, so you're close. So this would be all, ha.
Okay.
So yep, ha, ahim, ah, and then this is the syllable break is right here. So it'd be him, ha, ah, him. Now we just looked at a word up here. Notice it looked very similar to this word right down here, doesn't it? Very similar. So all, we had that in our vocabulary, I believe. I could be wrong, but in case we didn't, means against or on.
I mean, that's all.
All,
A-L-L.
like that. All can mean on, upon, or even against. Okay, go ahead. Oh, you were just pronouncing? All right. So, turns out Joseph came to Jacob, Yaakov, with an evil word, an evil report, evil word on, over, or against who? We just learned the, right? This hey in front of the word, and we know it's plural. Against the brothers. You looked at
Gonna be on the lesson notice.
it will be on the lesson, but you'll also have the recording up there too. So, all right. So, Robin, you looked confused there for just a minute. You're just practicing. You're mouthing it. Okay. So this one right here is a great example of how you break a word down. And in this case, it's and the brothers. So that's how we would render it in English. It takes 3 words to get through that one word because there are actually the va is a word and conjunction. The ha is the definite article telling us it's not just any group of brothers, it's the brothers. In this case, his brothers. Okay. Vayosef ha'ahim shamru. Joseph and the brothers were guarding the flocks of Jacob. And Joseph came to Yaakov, Jacob, with an evil or bad word about or against the brothers. And that's where we'll have to stop tonight. But this is the story that's going to be part of I always had the same reaction in my classes too. This is going to be part of some kind of an exercise we'll be going through to translate this story of Joseph and his brothers. And we'll work through it together. Anytime you see, I had more here because I had big high hopes, but believe it or not, in all of your vocabulary, I'll just cruise forward here and show you. The only words that I have in brackets are the only words you haven't learned in your vocab. So you should be able to get through that if you want to take the time to go grab it out of Canvas and grab your vocabularies that you've had before. You can go look those up in Canvas and then come back to these slides and you should be able to actually work these out through the vocab. Now that you know, try to find your root, try to learn, see if it's a regular masculine, if it's an ah at the end, if it's an eem or an oat, if there's a ha in front of it, you should be able to kind of start picking apart where those are. And it looks like, well, it takes practice. Takes practice to do that. Practice.
That
We could. So, all right, I'll run through this really quick. So we have a pronunciation, then I'll clip this section out and upload it separately. So you have a pronunciation of the vocabulary, but you can say it after I say it. So our first one here is harag. Harag means to kill or to slay, or he killed. Now that you can pick up that vowel pattern right there, you'll see it a lot. Zot. Zot means this or that. And notice the ot ending tells you it's a feminine. So a ze is the same, this or that, but masculine. My Aramaic teacher just gave me a mnemonic device for all of these, but he says it so fast. I'm going to stop him tomorrow and have him actually say it slow enough I can type it out. So, Aramaic, yeah. Chashav. Chashav means he thought or he planned or he was thinking, I should have done that. I should have done that. Chashav, to think or to plan. Tov. Tov, you should know that. Yad. Now, this looks a little bit like the form of the verb yod, because a yod used to represent a hand. So it's a yad and it means hand. It's a noun, it's feminine. Yom. Yom. It means day. Yomim is the plural of that. Kol.
Wow.
Kol.
Cool.
Kol
Cool.
means all or every. You will see this word with a kamatz, lamed, not a holem, everywhere. Everywhere you'll see, and you'll want to say call, but it's not. When you see the word kaf, lamed with a kamatz, it will always be pronounced kol or hol. It will never have the accent on it. So we'll take that weird kamatz that's an O vowel. So you learn it as hol because that's how you'll say it all the time. All or every. All right. Kesef. 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 Silver or money. Kesef. Lakach.
Ka.
Lakach means he took or to take. Lakach is a taking word. Moot. Moot. That's how you feel in this class about to die.
Or a moot point.
Or a moot point, a dead point. Machar.
No.
Machar. He sold or to sell. It's a selling word. Machar. I sold machar. So possibly a way to remember. Kol. Kol. This is the voice or sound that was in the garden that Adam and Eve heard walking in the garden. They heard the kol, the voice.
Are you talking about the?
Is it homonym?
Is that God or is that the? Sure.
That was God. They heard God walking after that. Homonym is in a similar sounding word. Yes, similar sounding. Yes. But not necessarily, because one with a cough can be whole, not always kol. So it can change up a bit. But now you kind of see why it's important to learn the spelling of the word. So that when you see it, you know this is a voice. And when you see the kaf, lamed, you know that's all. All right. Kara. Kara. If you're in the Torah class, we've talked about karaing things. And that's he called, he read, something like that. And the last one, Rav. Come on, Poppy, give me the Rav. There you go. Or Ravim. Rav means much, many, or great. Rav. Yeah. All right. So that's it. Got a little bit of not learning as much around the rules and that, but yep.
This plural?
They can be, but typically they're just they're indicating this particular thing. And you'll see when you start reading in Hebrew, you'll get like hasus hatov zeh, where it's like the horse, the good, this. And it's sort of the way for the author to give you emphasis. I'm talking about this specific good horse. And so you'll see it used that way, but you can get a zot or a zay for plurals too, sometimes. No, but I might be able to print you one. If you know what, let me bring it tomorrow when I come back for Torah. I'll bring it back with me.
I,
That's fine. You can still come. Absolutely. All right. Well, we're going to close it out there. Grace, do you have any questions?
no, sir, I'm good.
All right. Good deal. All right. Keep doing your vocab. Keep doing your letters. Try to read some of this on your own. And we'll see you next week.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Bye.
Yeah, again.